Hey guys, Stealth here. As promised, we're gonna have a look at some of these new gameplay features that all of the new nations are providing. This, therefore, is a Red 4 versus Red 4 match. So the team that I'm currently looking at, which is the team of Spect 96, Face, Monolith, and Kekia, I'm gonna be designating as Blue Team, and the other one's gonna be Red Team. Now, they're both using these new decks, or at least some of the new units in Coalition decks. In that sense, Spect was using the Entente deck without a specialization. The map is Highway to Korea or Highway to Seoul, and it's going to be a very, very large map. And there is so much going on this map that it is really tough for me to do a very good commentary on this because it is just such a large map. There are so many areas of engagement, and I need to try and cover everything. So, in case I miss something, I'm claiming map size. It's just that big that it is getting difficult to cover everything. Anyway, we already have the first communications going up. I believe that these guys were all on TeamSpeak, as this was an in-house match on my TeamSpeak server. The teams were as evenly matched as possible. You can see in the ranks that these guys have basically all, except for Ripnorder, been involved in ranked. And potentially Ripnorder has been involved, but is still a private. I'm not exactly sure. As for the area where Spect is going, he's going towards this sector, Delta. Kekia also has a mechanized deck that might be able to help, and he's going to help out Spect here. On the right, we have Face, he's going towards Mike and capturing Lima. And on the left, that just leaves us with Monolith. The left, again, is a very large open area, and you can engage from virtually anywhere, because you have a lot of these stepping stone tree lines or small forests that you can use. There's a structure here, two structures actually. You can use those to be a bit of a recon position and potentially ATGMs. And with those, you can just try and make your way towards the other side, but the same goes for the Alpha side that's pushing to Juliet. And of course, the Echo Zone heavily contested, as you can usually expect some crossfire to come in from Delta, provided that these units aren't too busy killing off whatever's happening in Delta. As for the other side, Mike, Hotel, and Lima. Lima, as well as Foxtrot, are pretty far away from the main spawn. Lima a bit further away than the other side. Foxtrot Charlie seems a bit closer to me than Lima Kilo. So the best and fastest way to get to Lima is to get a helicopter with an infantry command unit in there. Otherwise, you may find that the enemy is going to be doing the same thing, but to your spawn zone. You could see helicopter rushes, and it's not too likely, but I have seen it happen. Coming in from Charlie, just cross right over the map and try to dash right into Lima. I believe that a week or two, maybe 3 weeks by now, 3 weeks ago, I put up a match trying to do this myself with moderate effect. Anyway, we're going to be following Spect, and I'm going to be zipping across the map every now and then. Let's have a look at what he's starting out with. He's starting out with two Modernus, T-272 Modernus, a couple of Vidras, Sneskas, Vidra 2 with fire support infantry, the RSPVO M90 Sava, that's the upgraded version of the Strela 10. A couple of Vidra for fire support, and that is really going to be critical. These tree lines are ideal for quick dashes with infantry fighting vehicles, autocannons, suppressing the enemy infantry, and then trying to dash towards the next tree line, and the next, and the next. That's the plan anyway. And he's going to be backed up by Kekia. And Kekia also has a lot of supporting forces. You can see that he's using some of those new BOV Raketas, which are those, I think BRDM2s / V150s, which have the Raketas system, which includes napalm. So the enemy team can expect some fire to be raining down on them. He's also mounting some Jacksons towards that position, a couple of BVP M80As with the autocannon. A couple of Savas as well, a T-55 recon tank. He's also going to be providing a bit of AA forward, but the main AA forward is going to be provided by Monolith in the form of this Niwa M1T. That is the, as they call it, the unseatable AA unit. Whether a seed aircraft flies in or not, this unit will simply not care, as it cannot be targeted, it's infrared. Alright, enough talk, let's get the game going. Speed it up. We got a bit of a halo push coming in from the left, by the way. Monolith is, Kakia is trying to push out towards a position here and capture it as fast as possible. This is his defense marker. You can see he's providing a command infantry inside a Gazella in order to capture Jot early on. As for the right flank, they have decided to go with a ground-based command unit by the looks of it. So it's going to take a while before they actually get towards Lenit and take over that spawn zone. I believe this is the command unit that's going to be taking it, but it's taking the scenic route. It's decided to go completely off-road, and with that, being quite heavily delayed in arriving. In the meanwhile, we have this massive column of vehicles pushing up, and very quickly going to fight a lot of different targets in that zone off to the right. Gotta say, I still like watching Wargame from this perspective. There's just so much detail that goes into these units that we don't really often appreciate. Whereas it is something that is definitely worth watching. In the meanwhile, we have our first bit of engagement going on in Boris. Exceptional optics of some sort have been spotting these units. And we already have, of course, the first push from red coming into Elena. Whereas Kakia only has the Pedobranchi 90 to defend some of these structures. He's trying to rush some more forces in here. Now, just as Spect's and Kakia's units are about to arrive, they take a bunch of napalm fire, which is more or less going to block off the road. Fortunately, these units mostly aren't affected, as the road itself is pretty clean, and they can continue to drive on. Of course, some of them will take a bit of damage, and the more you hang out in that napalm, the more your units are going to be panicked. He keeps pushing. Now, pushing out with 2 super heavies, I'd say it's very risky, but it seems to be the new preferred playstyle. And to make matters worse, he actually has 3 Modernas here. So he went with full-on blazing firepower, and this is a ton of guns they have here now. Because it's not only the Modernas that are providing heavy fire support, but also the Jacksons with some pretty decent guns. The Vidras, and as you can see, they're making decent progress, but they're about to run into some reinforcements from red. Among which a couple of T-72 M1s, which are not that much of a threat, but the Vihor is definitely a problem. One of Spect's Modernas has already taken a beating there. He's lost a couple of recon Sneskas, and here comes a significant airstrike from red. A couple of Hawk 51s, MiG 912s. They're all sailing through, trying to get kills. The Moderna got hit again. Fortunately still alive. But he's losing a lot of infantry. The other Modernas seem to be okay. This one has taken a bit of damage, but the other one is perfectly fine. He comes in with an SU-25K, loses it without taking out any of those super heavies. And unfortunately that is going to leave him without a tank sniper, unless he decides to buy another one and bring that in. Now, this is not the only engagement, but it is definitely an intense one. Over towards the right, we also have an engagement from Face against the Mint Jellyman. He's providing quite a bit of long-range HGM support. And the Finnish units here, the Yugoslavian units are not doing very well. They're all suppressed, and they have a complete lack of autocannons. They do have some AA guns for support, but the AA guns have nothing to shoot at the moment, but that's about to change. We have a couple of aircraft coming in. Let's hope that they get in range of the Strops. Just Strap comes in with a rocket run, but gets shot down. And the aircraft are in fact Avia 28s. That is going to really harm your infantry, to the extent that they're just completely evaporated. So Cheriton is completely open. The enemy team is doing quite well in pushing through, and only 2 Strops defending. But the blue team currently has a +2 lead. So as long as they can hold on to that and slowly but definitely reinforce the right, they should be alright. On the left, not a lot of action. We can see one Senka team moving up, trying to get a spot on Anna and potentially snipe the command vehicle there. You can see that north of Jot is completely empty, and the main engagement on the left flank is playing out in this zone. where we have a pretty decent firing line. M91A Vihor, we got the M84AN reconnaissance tank, Vidrus for support, Sava for AA. Looks pretty solid, except for this tank, which is a bit out of cover, but I'm sure he was managing something else at the time. Now, unfortunately, Kekia's forces have all been destroyed, so that just leaves Spect's forces to keep pushing through here. He's going up against Meow on this end, as well as some infantry deployed by Glebs. So he's having to fight off two enemies. At the same time, he's trying to land command infantry in order to neutralize the zone that Red 4 has just captured. And if they can do that, then they're back at a +2. The Moderna has taken a significant beating. It's still alive, but it's getting spotted every now and then. It just needs one more nudge to take it out. So he's really hoping for some for some reinforcements, which are being provided in the form of M84s as well as some more infantry. Interestingly, Kekia is not using the M60 with the recoilless rifles, but just with the machine guns, possibly to keep the infantry cheap, make sure that he doesn't have to spend too much. Spect brings in some reinforcements, especially supply trucks, to keep everything that has been taking fire here in order to repair everything that's been taking fire here. And he's been able to, so far, keep most of his Modernas alive, even though they've been heavily damaged. Unfortunately, the Moderna that took most of the damage over here has been killed off. But the M84As can take up the slack and provide further fire support, as unfortunately they're about to run into a Moderna. That could be a problem. Moderna's gun at 23 versus the 15 armor on the M84 is going to be quite painful for the M84. They cannot really do any kind of damage against the Moderna at maximum range, whereas the Moderna has no problem at all killing off the M84s. Now, Dimitri has been neutralized thanks to Spect's command infantry, but that does not give them an advantage in points, as the Cheriton zone is now also being contested, and it is pretty weak. FaZe does not have a lot of units here, and especially his AA is a problem, as you can see this Elouette just flying around without any kind of missiles being fired at it. It's completely harmless, but at the same time it is spotting his units. Back towards the middle. They're trying to reinforce, there's more infantry coming in, Proletariat 90. But the amount of reconnaissance here is a bit low. And you can see that we can only see what sort of units there are in the sense of outlines, but not really what exact units they are. So they have to bring in more reconnaissance, they have to bring in more fire support, and after the beating that both sides took, they have to bring in more of everything basically. Interestingly, there's not too much going on this end, which sometimes is used as a flanking opportunity towards Dimitri, to cut off the enemy team from using the open fields here, if you provide some fire support from tanks, potentially ATGMs, which at this angle can perfectly side-shot the Moderna that's currently reversing. Interestingly, Glebs is using some Stormies. Now that means, and you can already see them, that there are logistics trucks nearby, as without logistics trucks, the Stormy would never make it from center to Dimitri. They just would run out of fuel. Their autonomy is 155, and thereby the worst in the game. But at range, they can be interesting units for fire support against infantry. Although Moderna is going to look at them once, and potentially take them out with the autocannon, and not even the main gun. Moderna fires once, takes out one Stormy, reloads, pulls back, as the Proletariat are moving up. And even the Granatometz are doing pretty reliable damage to these guys, as they don't have a lot of armor on them. But the thing is, there's just quite a few of them. They still have 2 left now, but we don't know exactly what's behind them. And the enemy Moderna is still pushing out. Now, in the Entente coalition, you can also get the M91 Vihors as super heavies. So he's using the Vihor as well, slugging it out with a T-72 M5. And it seems that they just got the kill on the Moderna here. And I think that Spect here confirms that he did in fact see the Moderna go down, so that now they can keep pushing forward. The enemy team, however, is at a +1. It varies every now and then. Sometimes they manage to get the capture, Especially when this thing takes fire or is forced to retreat, they get an occasional +1. They're slightly ahead on points, but nothing too serious yet. Now the Vihor pushes forward very aggressively, virtually without any kind of support. There is very little behind him or around him in the sense of infantry. There's just 2 Proletary 90 units left and a couple more coming in. You can see he's pushing fast and far. And there we go. He killed off AA, captured 4 logistics units. That is very welcome, as they still have 1350 points of logistics in them. And that can definitely help in trying to keep all of these guys alive. Towards the left side of the map, we have Monolith, who's trying to slug it out against Rip Norder. Rip Norder is bringing in aircraft, which are commanded by Glebs. And with those, interestingly, are these those terrible birds? Yes, these are the terrible CM-170s. I never expected anyone to use these. But they are providing missile fire on the Vihor. Interestingly, of course, these missiles, while they, as far as I'm concerned, really aren't supposed to hit at 35%, actually do a little bit of damage, as they are heat missiles, so they will always do some damage. But the Vihor is utterly unimpressed. It's down to half health, but that is 2 anti-tank aircraft that just came in. Normally you just need 1 to inflict massive damage, or just kill off the tank altogether. The M91A Vihor, not impressed by those outdated aircraft, just completely lost half its health, but other than that, didn't even panic. He's really not concerned about that. On the right, Face is not doing very well. He's looking at incoming Stormy, BMP-1, XA-185 KTs. We have a tank or 2 on the front lines. He's trying to field as many units as possible. But he's been taking a significant beating on this end, and thereby he's struggling to get as many units to the front line as possible. Now T-55M Pion PSV, the reconnaissance tank, goes up in flames as the Vihor has taken a little bit of damage, but nothing too significant. And these Stormies should not be a problem. But there's really nothing that prevents Red 4 from capturing this terrain. Just 1 command vehicle, and they neutralize the +1 that Blue now has. So it's really going back and forth here. The Vihor pushes forward right into Proletary 90. The Proletary 90 do have a very nasty anti-tank weapon. So hopefully the Vihor will not get hit, and there we go, it's taken out the Proletary. But of course there's more units inbound. These seem like logistics trucks. So there is definitely something here that is in need of logistics, or Glebs has just not yet redirected these vehicles, and potentially the Vihor will capture those guys again. Moderna, in perfect condition, after taking on a lot of repairs, is now suppressing the infantry that's just being killed off as they evac their transports. Not a lot left of the transports, and there we go. Infantry is down, and with it, Blue is virtually on the edge of Dimitri, and with the edge of a zone usually comes a command vehicle. Granatamet, AGS-17 take him out, and with it, Blue has suddenly gained a +3 lead. Not exactly what I was expecting at the start, after seeing most of those Blue 4 units go down here, but they made a fantastic comeback there. Now, the Vihor is being spotted by the Alouette 2. For now, the Alouette itself cannot really do anything against it, but you don't know what other aircraft they might be coming in with. Meanwhile, Monolith provides AA support with an L-19, and an F-18C from Glebs is about to challenge the other aircraft that's coming in. Bit of a dogfight, and unfortunately, the L-19 goes down, but not before its last missile finishes off the F-18. So that's 2 air superiority fighters down, 1 on both end, or 1 on each end. And with it, hopefully not too many more aircraft are going to be coming in. The aircraft that is coming in is the CM-170. Once again with the AS-11. I really don't know what Glebs is hoping to achieve with this unit, as I find it quite terrible. It's, as far as I'm concerned, really not viable with these stats. Anyway, Blue has captured Dimitri, is at a +3, and you can see that they're not moving up. If you can hold on to Dimitri, and that's exactly what they're doing, then you have a perfectly solid +2 zone under control. You don't need to push out from it anymore, because pushing out along this axis is going to run you into open terrain, which is difficult to cross. So instead, Spect has elected to go left. He sent one V-Horde towards the left and is also bringing in some OT-Tab 71s with more infantry. And together with Monolith here, they're going to try and push on Boris in order to get the command vehicle down there as well. If they can do that, then they get a +5 pretty quickly. Over towards the right, I still don't really get why they haven't captured Cheriton yet. I mean, for blue it's going to be really difficult as they don't have any control over this zone, but red seems to have at least a couple of tree lines that they can temporarily park a command vehicle in order to lessen the lead that blue 4 is gaining. Or the blue team. It's not really blue 4, is it? M91 Vihor taking a little bit of napalm fire and is forced to retreat. And let's see, are they in position yet? No, not yet. We're going to have a look at artillery that's being fired from Leonard in a little bit, as it's one of those new artillery units and it does a very, very interesting job. Mint Jellyman pushes forward with Panzerjäger as well as XA-185 KTs right into phase Pedi Brenci, and they just don't really have anything to do there but die. Kakia tries to take up the slack, forces more units forward, but they are going to be running into the the autocannon of this unit at the edge of the forest. On the left, they're making pretty good progress, and surprisingly, Spect has just been able to run his Pedobranchi 90 directly into Boris. He just snuck them up along this vector, ran through the forest, and for some reason the red team just did not have any kind of defenses there. So now they're just clearing up anything that is left here. There is still some heavy tanks, or some medium to heavy tanks here. You can see Spect splits up his Pedobranchi in order not to provide one big target that can easily get airstriked, but two separate targets in order to capture several different buildings, present yourself as less of an easy target, and cover more terrain. There we go, that's the bombing run that he was apparently expecting. Towards the right, Red Force still has quite a few units. They still have a bunch of infantry, still some fire support units. I'm not sure exactly what kind of tanks we see, other than the T-55 AH Igman. But so far, this is not really that much of a strategic position. It is a roadblock towards Gregory, but Gregory has bigger issues than worrying about tanks that are coming from this vector. But they are putting up a nice distraction, so that the infantry from face can get into position. Now here we go. These are the units that I was expecting. These are the new rocket artillery trucks from Yugoslavia. Interestingly, they can also fire smoke charges, and with that capability they can very quickly put up a significant amount of smoke, so much so that it is very much faster to use smoke coming from this vehicle than in order to put it up through mortars, as you're about to witness. As we're waiting for those guys to get into position, Spect is pushing forward. He has now secured this position, making sure that nothing can get into Boris from Anna. Pedobranchi on this end, making sure that nothing can get up this little area here, with potentially an infantry counter. And they are also providing a bit of spotting, although with only medium optics, don't expect too much of these guys. With a solid +4, they are definitely getting very, very close to the 500 points very quickly. Now, the infantry from phase is at the edge of the zone here, but this is a very open terrain. You're gonna need cover. That's exactly what these guys are here for. Watch this. This is those rocket artillery units. Very high rate of fire. Here come the rockets. Now, when you see something like this, you usually go, oh shit, we got cluster munitions coming in, potentially HE, anything like that. But not at all. Look at the size of that smoke screen. That's significant. That is really impressive. Unfortunately, the enemy team does have some helicopters that can counter it, but that is a very nice smoke screen put up very quickly, And these guys only fired 1/4 of their charge, so they still have 75% of their ammo left. They can do it again in a heartbeat. I'm not exactly sure on their reload rate, how much time they need between salvos. But overall, if you can put up a smokescreen that quickly, then with 3 to 4 units you can quickly cover most of this zone. At this point though, the game is clearly decided. Blue team has a +6 lead, and as Spect is covering Boris, we have Monolith pushing in with Proletarian 90 and Pedobranchi in order to try and find the command vehicle in Anna. And with a +6, it's just over so damn quickly. Proletarian 90 running into Panzerjägeri, and the Panzerjägeri are putting up a fight. Surprisingly, the Pedobranchi, oh there we go. They are now moving forward, trying to counter whatever's coming in, but a bit of a bombing run puts a fly in the soup there and kills off some of the Proletary, but it doesn't matter. They won the game, and they won it with a total victory there. Now, that is what you can expect from these new units. As you can see, the Entente coalition that Spect was using, and you can find his deck in the description down below if you want to use it for yourself. It comes with 5 super heavies, 3 Modernas, and 2 M91 V-Horse, if I'm not mistaken. And with it, you have a very, very good all-round tank, fire support vehicle with an autocannon on top of it. You got nice AA, you got some really good infantry in there. And overall, I think it's going to be a really powerful coalition in that sense. Anyway, that was the game. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. And if you have any of these games that you'd like me to feature, then be sure to send them in through the description link down below. Keep in mind, I do get a lot of these replays, so sending it in is no guarantee for covering it, but I'll do my best. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon for more videos.